Hafa day, everyone. Welcome to D14 Tonight. It's going to be an exciting show. We've got several of your senatorial candidates in studio. We'll get to them in a moment, but first we want to share how you can interact with our program. There's always by phone by calling in your question to 632-TALK, that's 632-8255, or joining us by being part of our virtual studio audience. Let's bring in Jason to explain how that all works. Jason.
All right, thanks so much, Sabrina, and Hafa day, and good evening, everybody. I am right now in our Digital Control Center, and what we have here tonight, and we're bringing this to you for the next hour of live television, is what we're referring to as our virtual studio audience. Now, we've set up a Google Plus Hangout, which is a multi-user video chat, and we want you out there in TV land to actually jump in. And what we've done is we've created a second screen experience. So while you're watching TV and you have this up on your big plasma TV, or you may be hanging out at a bar or doing something, you're making dinner for the family, we actually want you to run our Hangout in the background on a laptop, on a tablet, on a phone, what have you, whatever digital device, smartwatch, glass, whatever, and actually run this, because we're going to have some of the candidates are going to jump in tonight. They're going to be doing a live video chat with some of the members of the online community right now. We are live on YouTube as we say this, so we've got our webcams here, and we've got a completely different experience that we're integrating into the core TV product. So you can actually watch two different shows at the same time, but it's all basically the same thing. You can ask questions and you can directly interact with the candidates that are running for senator. So make sure to go to our Facebook fan page and watch the live stream. Again, we're on YouTube Live right now. Post a comment if you'd like to jump in the Hangout. We'd love to have you. Everybody's welcome, and we'll see you in a bit.
Thanks, Jason. Aside from being interactive, later we'll have our election segment, Cruising with the Candidates. We'll also have our latest KUAM News UOG student poll, and we'll hear from our team of political analysts. But first, without further ado, let's get to our first set of guests. Please welcome incumbents Republican Senator Chris Duenas and Tony Atta, as well as from the Democrats, Frank Uggan Jr. Thank you guys so much for joining us. If you have a question, you can call 632-TALK, that's 632-8255. We'll start, gentlemen, by giving you each 1 minute for opening comments, and we'll start the end with you, Tony.
Thank you, Bree. Well, Hafa day, Guam. Thank you for joining us here tonight on the D14. I'm Tony Atta. Currently I'm the Republican Minority Leader, and I'm serving my second complete term, and I'm looking for re-election into for my third term as your senator. I hail from the village of Sinahanyan. I'm married to Annette Ampinko Atta. I have 4 children: Vince, Alejandra, Amaya, and Leilani. And I just hope that this will give you some type of information that you'll know to make a wise decision to come out and vote on November 4th. Thank you. Thank you, Bree.
Thank you. Senator Duenas.
Hafa day to the people of Guam. Thank you for inviting us into your homes tonight to speak to you about issues that concern you, and have us answer questions that hopefully will show that we truly are here to serve you, the people of Guam. My name is Chris Duenas, and I'm now in my second term in the Guam legislature. I have an overall of 12 years of public service, 8 years under the Camacho administration as Director, Department of Youth Affairs, and also Department of Land Management. Tonight, I hope that I can discuss some of the policies I've been able to work on as a senator, building our economy, working on programs for our youth, and also protecting our environment by trying to eradicate and eliminate invasive species. Those are just some of the things that I've been able to accomplish in a short period of time, and I certainly hope that you will consider me going into the 33rd Guam legislature. Thank you once again, and Sijuas Masi.
Senator Uggan.
Thank you very much, Bree, and thank you again to KUAM, and I welcome my 2 colleagues, Senator Atta and Senator Duenas. The last year and a half has certainly been a tremendous honor and privilege to be able to serve our community in the capacity I have. Only because I was able to address we were collectively able to address some of the issues affecting our veterans in our community. When we had the military build-out process, we were able to actively participate in that and facilitate some of the discussions. In conjunction with that, Homeland Security has done a fantastic job in terms of being able to make sure that they provide the information to our community in a timely manner so that they can address any man-made or disaster-related activities. And then also with the judiciary. I've had an opportunity to work closely with the judiciary in terms of providing them some of the resources. Just having done that in the last year and a half has really provided me some additional incentive to ask the people of Guam to give me that opportunity again to serve them in the next legislature, and I humbly ask for their support in this upcoming election.
Okay, well, let's just get right to it. You know,
Sure.
all of you are incumbents. How would you, I guess, rate your performance in the last 2 years on a scale of 1 to 5? 5, of course, being the highest, and we'll start with you, Senator Akin.
Well, let me say this much, and I want to thank my team members in the office because every now and then they provide me some good feedback. I'd say probably a 3. And that is being very direct in terms of rating the activities and the decisions and the legislation that I've introduced, because there's still a lot more work that needs to be done. And only because over time, over the course of the last year and a half, we've been able to recognize some of the other areas that we need to continue to address, not only to continue to work with our partners at CBOC, the community-based outpatient clinic, the Veterans Clinic, and ensure that our veterans receive the services that they rightfully deserve and have earned, but then also looking at some other areas. One area that I'm very interested in, at least over the course of the next couple of years, is seeing what we can do to address on government reform. As we move with this military buildup, as we move with anticipated increase in our population, we need to look at our government and say, is everything operating as efficiently as possible? And that is not a negative statement towards the existing system and the leadership. It is about anticipating what we can do better as an island community and as a government in providing the best service for our people.
You know, Bree, one of the hardest things to do and unnatural for me is to talk about myself and rate myself. But the direct answer to the question would be, I would say 3.5, given the fact that there's always room for improvement. I would say some of the highlights of particularly this term has been working on key policy with the administration. I think it's really important as legislators, and I think it's really important as senators. It's not that we always agree, and it's not that the administration definitely always has it right or we always have it right. But I think what's really important as a senator is really understanding how to interact with the executive branch, and also how to ensure that we deliver at the legislature when it comes to collaboration and cooperation. So I would say that's probably some of the highlights during this recent budget. It's been really a pleasure to work across the aisle. And to have the meeting of the minds come together for a very smooth budget process. We did a lot for our employees. We did a lot for our government employees. We did a lot for our economy. And so I would say that spirit of collaboration, able to work with anyone across the aisle, as well as working with the administration, is something that's a highlight of my work in the legislature.
Senator Atta.
Thank you, Bree. Well, I think also along with Senator Duenas and Elgin, I think I rate myself at about 3 and 3.5. I was able to accomplish some key legislation this term that protects our families and putting the laws back into their hands on their side, with Castle Doctrine, home invasion, carjacking, and the concealed carry weapons law. And, working collectively and with my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, we were able to get these legislations passed and put into law so that our families are protected and they can find that medium to say, you know what, I'm not going to be a victim any longer. I'm going to be protected, and I have the law on my side now to protect me. And we work together collectively so that we can ensure that our families are safe during the budget process. Like Senator Duenas said, we work collectively with them again. And this is about our people and how we can work together to ensure that our people benefit from it and our island benefits from it.
I'm glad you brought up Castle Doctrine, because it is one of the many laws I've seen actually that have been enacted this year. We also saw the strengthening sentencing for repeat offenders, also the vulnerable victims law.
Correct.
But at the same time, we're still seeing and still hearing about crimes that are being perpetrated against our community. So for me, what more, I guess, needs to be done? Go ahead.
Sure.
I like to say that, just in direct response to that particular question, I've made an inquiry into some of our judicial officers and asked them if by any chance they can provide us some statistics, because we need to understand exactly what is at the heart of this issue. And then talking to some of our police officers, because they are really out there in the beat and they're doing a fantastic job in terms of trying to get out to the community. Is it a drug epidemic issue? If that's the issue, then we need to go after it directly. If it's another issue that's affecting our community, we need to identify that so that we don't only provide resources to our law enforcement community, but we also go at the heart of what the issue is. And if it's not, if it is in fact either a drug or an alcohol problem, then working collectively as a community and being able to address that will be able to resolve many of the other criminal activities that are taking place in our community.
Yeah.
So I certainly hope that some of the statistics that come out of not only GPD but also the judiciary, that we'll be able to glean from that where the source of some of these challenges are.
I think Senator Uggan is correct here. The bottom line is that for all the opportunity that we see, for a budget that we just passed, that really is kind of unprecedented in the last decade, really moving forward in a positive trajectory upward. Job opportunities, economic growth, our education system is getting better. But you're right, Bree. I mean, the thing that stands out to us tonight is the issue of a horrible and horrific situation where we have children, inside of a home who are abused to the point of things that as a father just really turned me inside out. So the thing is that I believe that what's even being discovered in this case and data is what we need to work off of when we make decisions on how we shape policy. And I bet you, Bree, and I think this is something our community has to sit down and start talking about seriously. I bet you in most of these major cases and a lot of the other situations that we're seeing that there are unfortunate blights in our community and poor behavior are mostly directed and related directly to substance abuse, whether it be alcohol or the ICE situation. There are things out there that our families are suffering. I hear it when I go and talk to people. They have issues with certain members of their family, and it's something we're going to have to get a grip of. We need to really expand programs for treatment. But you're right. The law enforcement system right now is catching them. But we've got to move forward and be more aggressive.
Thank you. Senator Adams.
Yeah, and that's what it comes down to is I think crimes are being reported more now
That's correct.
than they have been in the past. So now we need to take action on how we can address these issues as they come up one by one. We're not going to be able to address them all at the same time, but hopefully we come up with some type of medium, some type of solution to the problems and not just find out what the problems are and come up with those solutions.
Okay, well, we're going to take this conversation outside. We have Shirley from Tamuning. Shirley, before we put you on the air, if you could please turn your television just a little bit, the volume down so we don't have any feedback. So, welcome to D14 Tonight, and what is your question, Shirley?
Hello?
Yes, what is your question?
Hello?
What is your
Yes.
question?
Good evening, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I have a
Shirley.
question for the three gentlemen. You are all incumbents, correct?
That's
Yes.
correct,
Sure,
Shirley.
Shirley.
Yes. I have one question for the three of you. How many bills have you introduced in this last term that actually became law? And could you also tell me at least one bill and what it actually did for the island?
All right, thank you, Shirley, for that question. We'll start with you, Senator Adams.
Thank you, Sabrina. Thank you, Shirley. I think I've introduced over a dozen bills, and I think about 8 of them have become law this past term. So, like I said, the impact of the home invasion bill, the impact of the carjacking bill, the impact of Castle Doctrine and the concealed carry. But not only that, I think the bill that I think had the most impact was the deferred plea with those that are involved with domestic violence and domestic violence. And what it does is that the offender must enter into a guilty plea before they are able to go into a diversion program. So I think that program is working out fine to where they have to be a first-time offender. And what we want to do is educate them and be able to correct their deficiencies and help them to become better citizens so that they be able to have their families together with them. But at the same time, if they don't complete it, then they do face the penalties of that.
Senator Duenas.
Thank you, Shirley, for the question. I think this will be my second term of probably being the individual who introduces the least amount of legislation. I prefer to personally concentrate on the quality of the legislation. Shirley, I'm going to highlight 3 pieces of legislation that I think have had a direct effect on our people. One is the scholarship laws that I introduced. that allow the University of Guam to allow for businesses to invest and have tax deferments on their companies to allow for those of our young people who are unfortunate and need an opportunity for scholarship opportunities in order to go to school, to finish their education and to get a higher education. Those are 3 bills for GCC, UOG, and the Guam Trades Academy that are very effective. The other bill that's very important and dear to my heart, Shirley, is the issue of invasive species. We are now seeing the council put together and monies are starting to come in so that the Department of Agriculture and the Port Authority of Guam can step up their efforts on eradication and elimination of invasive species that are threatening our economy, our tourism, and most especially threatening our farmers. You know, we opened a new farmers market, or we're building a new farmers market up in the north, but what use will it be if we don't get these invasive species issues under control? The other things, one other thing I'm very proud of, Shirley, is this year, after the budget goes into effect, there will be $300,000 available as a credit for $3,000 for a fully electric vehicle to allow families to buy these vehicles and to stop paying money for gas, and to allow a fully electric vehicle to be used in their family, saving hundreds and thousands of dollars every year. This bill actually pays for itself, and it's going to be a game changer in terms of renewables, in terms of Guam's move forward, and actually being an example to the world. So these are just some of the things I've been able to do, and I'm very proud of the few bills. I think I only introduced 6 this term, and we're still trying to get some through committee. Sometimes we need friends
thank you,
from
Senator Duenas.
help from our friends in the majority. So, thank you, Shirley.
And Frank?
Shirley, I want to thank you very much for that question. And in terms of trying to respond directly to your numbers, I've introduced 37 pieces of legislation, 21 of which have become law, 11 of which, of those 21, dealt directly with the veteran community. So I just want to extend my appreciation to all of my colleagues in the Guam legislature and the 2 senators here. I would have to say that not only have the legislation that I passed addressed the law enforcement component within the judiciary in terms of providing their allocation and the authorization to implement that remaining 20%. Also, we allocated additional resources for the Competitive Wage Act in this fiscal year so that they can implement it with similarly to all the other agencies. We also have expanded the Guam Veterans Commission so that in fact the governor has even greater flexibility in terms of the veterans that are appointed to that particular commission who are representing our veterans. But I have to say that my greatest contribution in this past year and a half is really working with our Veterans Clinic, working and partnering with our the director of the Veterans Affairs Patient Healthcare System out of Hawaii. When the Veterans Clinic had lost a physician back in September because of a deployment assignment, we were able to work and partner with them so that in February they were able to get 2 additional physicians, medical physicians, to come in. There was another challenge with the orientation. The orientation process took about 6 months before some of our veterans would be seen by the doctor. Well, we were able to work with them and get that orientation process out of the way. So now when a veteran goes up there and registers, within 30 days, they should get an appointment with a physician. Those are the things that, to me, I think also extends really the satisfaction that I've had in terms of listening to our veteran community and trying to understand their concern, and then partnering with either the front office, partnering with the veterans healthcare system out of Hawaii so that we can address these things. And I want to thank those partners and the stakeholders, and just as importantly our veterans, for letting us know some of these concerns.
Okay, I have one final question for you all. Do you support legalizing medicinal marijuana on Guam? This is of course going to be on the ballot, so we'll start with you, Senator Duenas.
You know, I have 2 concerns at this point. As a matter of fact, I was invited to be a co-sponsor on the current legislation. And my 2 concerns are this. You know, I met with the medical community years ago and have been gauging their response to this issue. One of the things that they had said at the outset was their major concern was even though this current Attorney General in the U.S. Is relaxed on prosecution, it's still a Schedule I controlled substance, which basically means most doctors on Guam, if any, will probably not even prescribe it. So that's one hurdle we have to get over. The second issue that I see and know as to be a barrier was the presentation from the public health director in saying that they are not equipped, they don't have the plan, and they're not ready to regulate and monitor and deal with the cultivation even issue of providing the medicinal marijuana. Now let me close with this. I can tell you right now, as having watched my family members pass under the scourge of cancer and debilitating disease, and knowing that there are children with neurological disorders who could benefit from this medicinal use. I want to say I will never begrudge that process. I just think that right now Guam needs to prepare, and before dealing with legislation at this point, we need to get the regulatory folks in, the doctors in, and get this thing sorted out so that we can move forward and do it properly. So at this time, I have serious concerns and reservations, but I'm open to doing it right and doing it in the right manner.
Undecided as of today.
Yes.
All right, Senator Dragon.
I have to say, first and foremost, I respect those who support the position of applying medicinal marijuana for their healthcare needs. In my case, I believe in the process that the federal government has in place, the Food and Drug Administration, where in fact they review over either a short period of time or an extended period of time the viability of a drug being administered nationwide and being able to meet the safeguards and the safety concerns of our community. Right now, at this point in time, that process has not been applied extensively. So just looking at the legislation, with all due respect, I respect the two authors, of the sponsors of that particular legislation,
Sure.
bringing it to our people, because rightfully so, our people should have a contribution in making that decision. But the legislation as it stands today, I do not support.
Okay.
Yeah,
Senator.
Sabrina, the issues that come with that, like Senator Dueñas said, the federal government and also our local controls are we be able to address these issues before it becomes law. And I think those concerns need to be addressed before we actually have this legislation become law or even introduced as a separate piece of legislation. So at this point, I'm undecided, but I'm also open to hear all points and arguments for or against it.
That's correct.
Okay, 30 seconds for your closing comments, starting with you, Senator.
Thank you, Sabrina. Well, thank you to the people of Guam for having us to come into your home. I'd like to just say that, I hope that you would consider me for your senator in the 33rd Guam legislature. I'm running for re-election again, and I hope that I'll be able to get your support and your vote. Thank you, and good night, Guam.
Senator Dueñas.
Thank you, Bree. Thank you to KUAM and the family of companies here for doing your public service in allowing us to talk to the people of Guam and share our ideas. I hope that you've, in this short period of time, you've been able to glean some of the way I believe and think and how I would continue to serve you, the people of Guam, in the capacity as your senator. I humbly ask for one of your 15 votes and hope to meet you on this campaign trail in the next 59 days or so to speak to you directly or call my office. And if there's any subject matter we discussed tonight or other things you want to learn about me in considering voting for me. And so once again, I humbly ask for one of your 15 votes in the upcoming general election. Situs Moasi and Maraming Salamat po.
Senator again.
Thank you very much, Bree and KUAM and Colin and D14 certainly for this wonderful opportunity to be able to be here and to share some of my perspectives in regards to this upcoming election. To the people of Guam, I humbly ask for your support. And it's really been a tremendous privilege to have served you in the last year and a half, being able to deal with veteran issues, being able to deal with judiciary issues, being able to deal with this military build-up and facilitating some of the process. But what is most important, at least for me, is I look at every single issue out there as being very important to our people out there once you bring it to my attention. And I'd like to continue to serve you in the capacity as senator and see if we can not only continue to address veteran issues and some of these other concerns that I mentioned, but also look at some of the quality of life concerns that our community has. And thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity.
Well, thank you guys for coming in, but the conversation doesn't end here on the set. You can still interact with the candidates by going to KUAM News Facebook page. Best of luck to you guys in November.
Thanks, Bree.
Still to come, we'll bring in another group of your senatorial candidates, plus cruising with the candidates. In the passenger seat is Congresswoman Madeline Bordallo. Stay tuned. D14 Tonight continues in a moment.
Brought to you by Triple J, celebrating 30 years of putting our customers first.